welcome back to another episode of the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez, with all your cool wrestling stuff, all your news, all the storylines that's happening in professional wrestling. Can't wait to get it done. Can't wait to get it started. Hope you guys are having an amazing week. It is Thursday. We are one step closer to Friday. Of course, Friday. Gotta get down on Friday. Hope everybody's having an amazing Thursday night, having some good plans for Friday, hopefully going out with a couple of friends, or maybe if your idea of having a good time is just staying home with a good book. So, hey, sometimes, whatever. Teach your own. Teach your own, baby. Teach your own. Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. We have a great show for you today lined up. We have our AEW Dynamite review. We also have our Thursday Night Wrestling preview. We jump into the world of Ring of Honor, also Impact Wrestling, and we're going to, explain some of the results and, some of the implications after NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance, the Power episode that aired on the CW app Tuesday night. We're also going to get into Trick Williams and Jordan Grace have both issued open challenges for their titles, and they are both very open to having either a TNA star or a WWE star, answer that call, because, the best fight the best, I guess, you know what I mean? So that's kind of cool. And then we're going to move on to of course, it's Thursday, so we have our tag team World Cup. And like I said before, there might be a little, this might be a little subjective, a little less objective because I'm the host, you know what I mean? So deal with it. I'm just kidding. No, I will try to take it in consideration, but there's some teams that I just love so damn much. And I'm not sure if I would be able to let them go away. But we'll get into that segment 4. Segment 5, we're going to cap it all off with our Thursday night wrestling superstar spotlight. We're talking about Maxwell, Jacob Friedman, MJF tonight. Hopefully we have enough time. We always tend to run out of time. So let's go ahead and move on. I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Give me your questions, comments, concerns. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me there's something wrong with my hair. There's something wrong with my lighting. I don't know why, but it looks like I'm lit up. I'm illuminated like I'm some kind of sign on a bar that's supposed to say Cooper's Light or something. I don't know. It's it's just my lighting. You know what I mean? You get to see this beautiful mug all. You can't really see my wrinkles. So to be honest, I kind of like it. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not that old. I'm just gonna moving on. Make sure you tune into the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast. Hit up the tips and donations link. Always, guys, always chat. Don't be afraid to tell me how you feel. Don't be afraid to talk. Wrestling fans, we're a different fandom. Obviously, it's not like the NBA. I don't want to keep saying WNBA. WNBA, of course, as well. It's not like Major League Baseball. It's not like NFL. Different perspectives, different, opinions about things are much encouraged instead of just nodding your head and being that yes man. No wrestling fan wants to agree with another wrestling fan. You guys want to talk. You guys want to hash it out. Share some words and stuff like that. Cut your own personal promos. But this puts your question up on top of the list so I can see it. It really does help the show. Here at the GSMC Sports Network. Leave with peace, love, and positivity. Remark. We love positive remarks, but if you have to criticize, I'm always open to criticism as well. Feedback is a gift. Always a gift. And again, the link is at the GSMCpodcast.net. So let's going to jump right into our first segment. We're going to talk about our AEW Dynamite review. So without further gilding the lily, let's get into it. We have Maxwell, Jacob Friedman, who we're going to cover on our Thursday Superstar Spotlight, if we have enough time. He came out, of course, everybody was, after he returned on AEW's Double or Nothing last month. I think it was 2 weeks ago, 2 Sundays ago. You had AEW Double or Nothing at the MGM Grand. So he basically put everybody on notice. He put everybody on notice inside the locker room, like, hey, guys, honestly, I'm coming after you. And he started spitting some straight up facts. He says he's been watching a whole bunch of children on his show demanding things, taking his title, taking his glory. And he made, kind of remarks toward the 3 champions in AEW. You have the Continental Champion, Kazuchika Okada. You also have the AEW World Heavyweight Champion, Swerve Strickland. And of course, you have the AEW International Champion, the aerial assassin, Will Ospreay. So it's kind of cool. I want to see MJF fight a couple of these guys, to be honest. That's just me being brutally honest. That'd be pretty awesome. So the next we kind of move on. We have Orange Cassidy against Kyle O'Reilly, against Jay Lethal, against Rey Fenix for that AEW number one contender for the International Championship shot at Will Ospreay next week on Dynamite. Of course, you have Will Ospreay, who won the Casino Battle Royale last week, and he's going to fight Swerve Strickland for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. So that should be, pretty badass. Should be pretty interesting to kind of see what happens with that. Rey Fenix was able to kind of move past. I honestly kind of thought Orange Cassidy was going to win because he's a two-time AEW International Champion. So I was like, it'd be kind of cool to have Orange Cassidy kind of go out there. But of course, after the match, when Rey Fenix left and he collected his glory, and he was like, "All right, deuces, I'm out of here." You had the Trent Beretta of the Don Callis, the newly member. No, that doesn't sound right. The newly added member of the Don Callis family, Trent Beretta, come out and wanted to challenge, Orange Cassidy, freshly squeezed right off the bat, which is, I kind of thought this rivalry was going to end at, AEW's Double or Nothing. But it's going to be interesting to kind of, obviously former best friends, him, those two and Chuck Taylor kind of reminded me of like a Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa kind of thing, like, DIY when they broke up and they had their absolute, slugfest and stuff like that. And I think even it was Tony Schiavone that said, these guys seem like they still have a lot of animosity toward each other. These guys still feel like, obviously they have some unsolved business, but if they solve that business, perhaps maybe they can come together and be a tag team again. It's going to be kind of crazy, to see kind of how further they kind of go forward within, both of these character developments, this story and this rivalry. So, it should be pretty interesting, what comes forward, what comes next. Trent Beretta's a beast, man. He's a dog. He wants to beat the heck out of freshly squeezed. So then you saw Kris Statlander come out. You saw Stokely. Kris Statlander slaps Orange Cassidy, and I was like, "Oh God, She even knocked him down. She knocked him down. That's how strong Kris Statlander is. It's crazy." So Kris Statlander's, Solamente becoming this huge heel turn. She's becoming this, kind of this focal point for wrestling for people who admire women's wrestling. They'd be like, "Man, this girl's kind of a jerk," but you kind of have to respect her because she's been within like a couple of independent wrestling circuits. But to come out to aid Orange Cassidy, you had Willow Nightingale smile all the time, no matter what. Obviously, I think that mantra is kind of out the window now. After she acknowledged in an interview with Renee Paquette, she was like, "You know what? I lost. Congratulations to Mercedes Moné. But something that I cannot get over is when people stab me in the back." Obviously she was kind of hinting at the betrayal of Kris Statlander. Most importantly, she kind of knew Stokely was a dog already. I think you can kind of tell, like, just looking at him, he seemed a little sketch. So you're going to probably see Willow Nightingale heading toward Forbidden Door, and Kris Statlander fighting each other, fighting out former best friends, kind of like this Trent Beretta, Orange Cassidy. I can imagine probably next week on Dynamite, you're going to see maybe like a mixed tag team match. Would be pretty cool. I know AEW has been hinting at a mixed tag team championships, which would be pretty cool, which would be actually absolutely monumental. That'd be pretty badass. So yeah, she came out, and Willow Nightingale had a couple of words. Next, you see the FTW champion arrive, to the stadium, to the arena, and he was just so over. Chris Jericho, he's just been so overbearingly obnoxious. "Thanks, guys. Thank you." Oh man. Like, as soon as he won that championship, and as soon as the fans were like, "Hey, F you, Chris Jericho, retire, please retire, please retire." Like, it's just, after that, I feel like Chris Jericho's kind of on a mission to kind of make asses of the audience members and stuff like that, because he's out there and he's just like, "What's the number one rule when you're in a world trying to deal with somebody who could perhaps like be in a bad mood, or perhaps can like have like kind of like a shitty attitude? It's kill him with kindness. kill him with kindness. And that's something that Chris Jericho is doing right now with the whole AEW roster. It's pretty crazy. He invited a private party to his show next week on Dynamite. So it should be pretty interesting, to find out who steps up to the FTW champion. Obviously, have the big Redwood, big Cass, Big Bill, and then you have the bounty hunter, Brian Keith. Now they're what I think they call him the Bad Apple. Now he's the Bad Apple, which is kind of I think that was kind of funny. But I don't know. It's kind of cool. They're learning tree. We're the learning tree. So yeah. It's kind of crazy. You saw Christopher Daniels come out and announce the ladder match once again for the TNT Championship. Obviously, Adam Copeland fractured his tibia, had to go through surgery. He actually already did it. So, the time length of how long he's going to be out, I will update you guys as soon as I can, as soon as I get that news. But I'm anticipating probably like I would say maybe half a year, half a year. Perhaps maybe we will see him at AEW All In answer, like an open challenge or something like that. That could be a huge possibility for Adam Copeland, and that's kind of like his MO. Obviously, he had a couple of surprise returns from the WWE, like the Royal Rumble, and then you saw him, pop up in AEW. So that's a huge possibility. So we had the qualifying match between the ROH, the Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion Mark Briscoe, against leader of the Mogul Embassy, Brian Cage. And I was happy to see Mark Briscoe win. I love Mark Briscoe. There's something about him. There's something about him that's so like absolutely relatable. At the same time, you can see him as as an athlete and as like a wrestler. But at the same time, you can kind of relate to him. You can tell that he's a fan of wrestling. You can tell that he's been through some pretty hard times. Last year, I think it was a year and a half, he lost his brother Jay, and it's just crazy. It's just crazy. A lot of people are behind Mark Briscoe. And he's so like, if you pay attention to how he dictates and kind of how he approaches himself and handles the matchup, you can be like, man, this guy's a little cuckoo. This guy might be a little quirky and dorky and a little weird, but I'm into it. I think it's badass. I love Mark Briscoe, and I definitely hope he, continues his dominance. I don't know how far he will go in this ladder match, but when Mark Briscoe is inside of a ladder match with access to tables, ladders, fire extinguishers, 2x4s with nails, thumbtacks, etc. It's gonna be badass. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be highly entertaining. So super happy that I saw Mark Briscoe move on. And then you saw a promo cut by Jack Perry. I hate Jack Perry. Absolutely despise him. But hey, and that probably means he's doing his job well. He's doing that. The heel role well. If he's getting audience members like me to kind of be like, "Oh, Jack Perry, you suck. You can't cut a good promo. You were a second-rate wrestler. You were mean to CM Punk. You're absolutely disrespectful to all the veterans. Like, what I mean? That's just his like persona. And if like I said, if I'm talking about it on a wrestling news show, obviously, he's done his job right. At the same time, bad publicity sometimes can be good publicity. So, hey. Next, we saw the Premier Athletes tempt Hook in the backstage interview with Renee Paquette. You saw Hook with Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe has kind of recently, as of last week, kind of convinced Hook not to walk into that 3-on-1 situation with Brian Keith, Big Bill, and FTW World Champion Chris Jericho, kind of saving his ass a little bit. Like, gonna be like, dude, like, just think about this, do this on your own terms, be patient, it's going to happen. Is Samoa Joe helping Hook? Can he be helping Hook? Or can he be setting him up to fail? Or can he be, putting Hook in situations where he gets, knocked out, or where he possibly could step down from challenging Chris Jericho for the FTW championship? Like, who knows? Obviously, it's in Samoa Joe's playbook and his reputation to be a little, disingenuous. So that, it's a high possibility. It's going to be interesting to kind of see moving forward how this Samoa Joe character development is going to be. I know he said in a recent interview that he's absolutely excited. He can't wait to get back into the World Heavyweight title picture in AEW. So, or maybe, Ring of Honor. So it should be pretty interesting. So Daddy Ass and the Acclaimed were banned from the arena, from the Elite. Classic abuse of power here by the Elite, the EVPs, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson. Oh man, I can't believe they kicked him out. I thought there was going to be probably a triple threat, not a triple threat, a 3-on-3 6-man tag team match tonight. Uh, I don't know. I think they're kind of heading toward maybe the Acclaimed challenging Matthew and Nicholas Jackson for their AEW World Tag Team titles because honestly, in the tag team division, in terms of men, I haven't really been seeing much lately on Dynamite Rampage or or Collision. Obviously, sometimes they have their tag team there, but nothing really addresses. No one actually steps out there and he's like, you know what? I'm going for the AEW World Tag Team titles. Like, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that lately. I haven't seen that in probably a couple of weeks. So honestly, I think AEW, Tony Khan, creatives, you guys need to focus on, reestablishing that the AEW World Tag Team division, because obviously you're gonna need it. You're gonna need it, sometimes during the best, during the best times of a wrestling promotion, you have to have all cylinders clicking. You have to have the world title picture, set forth. You have to have the women's world heavyweight championship, ready to go. You have to have the tag team division ready to go. And now there's the world tag team, and then sometimes they have that secondary title. In this case, in AEW, you kind of have no, three. You have the international, you have the continental, and you also have the FTW. I think that's it. I think WWE just has the Intercontinental United States, and well, now the newly added, WWE Speed. So now that's kind of crazy. Also the TNT Championship. So that's kind of cool. So kind of moving on. So then we have Mercedes Moné talks about rivals again. Once again, she's finding another familiar foe from New Japan Professional Wrestling Strong. She's fighting Stephanie Facure or whatever. She recently fought Willow Nightingale, had a rematch. Obviously, she broke her foot, due to circumstances that had nothing to do with Willow Nightingale whatsoever. So now Mercedes Moné, title for title, is going to fight Vecchia at Forbidden Door. So it should be pretty interesting. Next, we see the Blackpool Combat Club against the CMLL. It was a 4-on-4. It was an absolute battle royal for a little while there. It was kind of cool. 4-on-4 was just absolutely, tornado tag style, which is kind of cool. I like that, attitude era kind of guy. So the BCC was able to kind of claim victory. John Moxley's just on fire right now. John Moxley, although Bryan Danielson did lose Anarchy in the arena, there's no doubt in my mind he still could. He declared himself to be fighting in the Owen Hart Cup tournament, so that should be pretty interesting to kind of see what it comes to that. Also, what else did we see? We saw Claudio Castagnoli go out there as well and fight for the BCC, and I think these four superstars have a lot to kind of move. I feel like with Forbidden Door right around the corner, you're building up matches. And something about AEW is you kind of still have to be on pay-per-view. So you kind of still have to sell to a certain extent. I know WWE, they had the WWE network for a little while. Now they have a, streaming partnership with Peacock. So, having crazy matches or crazy promos for the longest time, because WWE didn't really have, someone to compete with before AEW in 2019. So they were able to kind of just reproduce and keep throwing up the same, stupid crap over and over again. And we would just buy it because we're like, well, there's nothing else to kind of watch, in the professional wrestling industry. So now I feel like since AEW knows that they're going to go on pay-per-view, or you can find YouTube or Bleacher Report, you have to ultimately sell those tickets. You have to sell and it's not cheap. When's the last time you paid for pay-per-view? Crazy, absolutely crazy. I paid just $50 for AEW Double or Nothing, and it wasn't bad, and it was worth it. It was worth, all the pennies. So it was, kind of cool. So you see the Elite backstage form an alliance with the Patriarchy, Christian Cage, obviously. Mariah May and Saraya, had a good match. Saraya she picked up the victor. Tony Storm and May were attacked after the match, but you saw Mina Shirakawa come out to aid Mariah May. Didn't really care about her opponent heading toward Forbidden Door, Tony Storm, and they were kind of fighting over Mariah. It was kind of funny. It was kind of crazy. You know what I mean? Like, obviously they have some hidden innuendos or whatever they want to do in terms of that, but I don't know. It was kind of funny. It's kind of funny to see that because in wrestling you're not used to seeing that anymore. But I feel kind of bad for Mariah May. Mariah May said that she supports both superstars, Tony Storm and Mina Shirakawa. So, it should be pretty cool. Next, we have the AEW World Heavyweight title match between Swerve Strickland and Roderick Strong. Something I credit to Roderick Strong was he was able to keep this match semi-clean, mostly clean. Obviously, you saw the Undisputed Kingdom come out. It was a great match. It was a great match, but still, AEW World Heavyweight Champion Swerve Strickland. So you saw Swerve defy the odds because I kind of knew he was going to win anyways. Because I want to see him and Will Ospreay fight at at Forbidden Doors. So yeah. Well, guys, do not go anywhere. Our segment 2, we're going to launch into the Thursday Night Wrestling preview, where I dive into Ring of Honor, Impact Wrestling. Also, we're going to talk about the NWA as well. Power aired on the CW app. So hey, do not go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, I'm losing shit. A stupid myth, you choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Just to kind of reflect on what we talked about, our first segment, we did talk about our AEW Dynamite review. It was a pretty good Dynamite. But moving forward, our segment 2, we're going to talk about my Thursday Night Wrestling roundup. We're going to talk about Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, and also dive into a little bit of the National Wrestling Alliance as well. So, but before we move on any further, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Shoot me some of your questions, some predictions, some storylines you want to see. Tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like about the podcast. Obviously, feedback is a huge gift. It really does help the show here at the GSMC Sports Network. We do love peace, love, and positivity. So leave a positive review. It really does help the show. Remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the network so you can get, notifications whenever each show starts. And then, it's pretty cool. We have a group of podcasters here that love sports, that love what they do. We have basketball, football, baseball, women's sports, you name it. Everything under the sun, basically. So don't be afraid to be a part of this GSMC Sports bloodline. And like I said, it really does help the show. And the link, again, is at the gsmcpodcast.net. So, yeah. So, all right, let's move on to our Thursday Night Wrestling. Our Thursday Night Wrestling preview. We're going to get into Ring of Honor. So let's dig on into it today. We're on the road to Arlington, Texas for Death Before Dishonor 2024, coming July 26th. So you have about 7 weeks to go. We're going to see the World TV Championship match. We're going to see Kyle Fletcher against Dalton Castle tonight. Should be pretty awesome. Should be pretty cool. I'm high. I'm high, guys. I'm not high. I'm high on Kyle Fletcher. Kyle Fletcher, the ROH World TV Champion. I feel like he's just one step closer to either a shot at Mark Briscoe or perhaps maybe a shot at Swerve Strickland. Or with this new partnership with New Japan Professional Wrestling, maybe he could go for the GP championship for Jon Moxley. So, I think it's going to be great. Obviously, Dalton Castle is no, walk in the park as well. He's very swirly. Swirly, is that the right word? He's unpredictable. Yeah, unpredictable. Like, he could be powerful. He could go for aerial attacks. He could be very tactical. He could pull out a submission out of nowhere if he wanted to. But honestly, I think Kyle Fletcher is probably one of the best one of the best Ring of Honor, Ring of Honor stars out there. So we have a three-way trios match. We have the Dark Order consisting of Alex Reynolds, Evil Uno, and John Silver against Cole Carter, Griff Garrison, and Johnny TV versus the Iron Savages, which can Bronson Boulder and Jack Jamison. A three-way trios match. Damn, that's so cool. Why does the WWE do that? That's pretty, so you're gonna have like 9 guys that are gonna be like, trying to beat the hell out of each other. That's pretty cool. That's absolutely, super huge. Can't wait to see this. You kind of have these guys fighting Johnny TV. I want to see Johnny TV kind of do more with Ring of Honor. I feel like right now he's kind of taking a back seat. I know he had a couple shots earlier, but I've seen Johnny TV's potential ever since he was in the WWE. Ever since he went back down to AEW. Obviously, he did a couple of I think he was in Ohio Valley Wrestling. That's the way he was kind of brought up. But I don't know, it should be pretty interesting, kind of, to see Johnny TV. I would like to see Johnny TV come back into like a title picture, but that's just me. Him, Kyle Fletcher, one-on-one match for the ROH World Television Championship would be pretty badass. Pretty badass. Next, we have a proving ground match. We have the Ring of Honor World's, Ring of Honor Women's World TV Champion Billy Starks against Zamaya. Obviously, Billy Starks, she has to kind of be living her life with one eye behind her back, constantly looking over her shoulder because she has Red Velvet gunning for her Ring of Honor World Television Championship. But to be honest, I think the Fallen Goddess, I don't really the Fallen Goddess Athena, I feel like would never really let down Billy Starks. But it is wrestling. It is professional wrestling. So, when it comes to like, oh, you can trust him, you can trust him. That's when they're like, you know what, you can't trust me. That's kind of crazy. Also tonight on Ring of Honor, Honor Club 67, we have Nick Camarado and Jacob Waltz against the Infantry. We have Queen Aminata in singles competition, and the Problem, Marina Shafir is going to be back in action tonight. So, make sure you stay tuned for that. Hit up the Ring of Honor website. They have episodes on there. So, so you don't miss a thing, so to speak. So, all right. So now we're going to jump into TNA Impact preview. Obviously, tonight is the 20th anniversary of Impact, Thursday Impact Wrestling. So that should be pretty cool. I hope there's going to be little surprises. I'm anticipating probably some cameos throughout the organization. You might see maybe, no, I don't think Jeff Jarrett would show up. Kurt Angle would be pretty badass. AJ Styles, pretty badass. Man, would that be crazy if all of the TNA superstars from WWE went to go visit TNA for one night? Obviously, it's their 20th anniversary. That'd be pretty badass. That'd be pretty cool. So, we're going to see Jordynne Grace, the Knockouts champion, defend her title against Allison Kay. Can Allison Kay pull up an upset, stop the momentum? Maybe perhaps she could fight Roxanne Perez at NXT Battleground? No, I don't think so, because it's not for Jordynne Grace's Knockouts Championship. So that'd be kind of crazy. That'd be kind of crazy if Allison Kay picks up the win here. Next, we have Nick Nemeth coming back from injury. He's back in action against the always crazy, the always, absolute lunatic of Frankie Kazarian. We had the Laredo Kid is going to fight against AJ Francis for the Digital Media Championship. Trent Seven and Mike Bailey of Speedball Mountain is going to fight Mustafa Ali and Campaign Singh. And, something about this match that, kind of caught my eye is, you had Speedball Mountain fight in a match to challenge Mustafa Ali's X Division Championship against All Odds. So maybe there might be potentially maybe like a little like partner miscommunication, or it'd be like where he runs into somebody on accident. I just really hope they don't break up Speedball Mountain. Definitely, hope that doesn't happen. Next, we're going to see Jake Something against Khan. Khan's a big-ass dude. Jake Something's kind of reminds me of the ultimate underdog, like a young Daniel Bryan. But if I had to pick a winner, the powerhouse Khan. He's just so good. He's just so good. Next, we have Giselle Shaw also returns back to TNA Impact. So make sure you tune into that 20th anniversary show. It's going to be it's on Access TV. So, after you get done watching the podcast, go ahead and hit that up. So, yeah, we're going to move on to our NWA Power results of June 4th. The Crockett Cup matches do continue. The National Wrestling Alliance delivered an action-packed show on this episode, obviously streaming on the, CW app. The, not Tommy, what's his name? Billy Corgan, the head frontman of the Smashing Pumpkins, owns a wrestling promotion, which is actually kind of sick. So yeah, so the NWA Crockett Cup first round match, you saw the Country Gentlemen defeat the Savages of Samoa. Kyle Davis interviews NWA's World Heavyweight Champion EC3 and the NWA World Tag Team Champions, the King Bees, along with Drew Garabo of the 102.5 The Bone. Garabo names the Wrecking Ball Lurkishi as he is a surrogate to face EC3, which is kind of weird, but that's entertainment, right? Next we have the Slime Balls, Natalia Markova and Brian Idol appear on Cooking with Carson. It's a cooking show with self-proclaimed professional chef of the NWA, Carson Drake. And it's kind of crazy. They made they made chicken. She showed them how to properly season chicken, and it was, like I said, it's entertainment. It's entertainment. So, so stick with me here. And so you also saw, another Crockett match take place. You had the Immortals defeat the Kids. The Immortals, after they won, they were all hyped up. Definitely one of the best NWA tag teams in this Crockett Cup. Kyle Davis interviews, the NWA World Heavyweight Champion EC3, Dory Funk Jr. EC3 shakes his hand with Funk and highlights and legendarizes, Funk's name. So the winner becomes number one contender for the NWA World Women's Champion. You had Ella Envy defeat Taylor Rising and Kylie Page, and Miss Star was sitting ringside, to distract, as she distracts the referee. Envy rolls up Page for the win. Classic, classic heel, kind of crazy. So you kind of have the women's division heating up. You see, you kind of see EC3 keep, putting his name inside and out of major wrestling news, which is kind of crazy because he's actually coming out with Devon Dudley. There's a wrestling promotion and they're going to be at the Lake Elsinore outlets. So I really wanted to go see that, but obviously I work Friday and Saturday. I got to do a podcast. It'd be so cool to go out there and watch wrestling. I think Juventud Guerrero is also going to be there as well. So yeah, it should be pretty interesting. And we have the Crockett Cup that's going to keep moving on. Definitely NWA, like I said before, with Billy Corgan's, with the Carneyland, which basically, kind of documents his real life as a rock star and also as a, wrestling promoter. So, yeah, honestly, I think it's going to be pretty great. I think the NWA is kind of heading toward the right direction. But, obviously, I feel like the entertainment factor is kind of crucial, and obviously they're trying so hard. Like I said before, they did the whole cooking show and stuff like that, where they have match stipulations for crazy things. But sometimes you gotta look back on the WWF and kind of see some of their matches that they've had. Yeah, think about that. Don't you dare judge. Don't you dare. So yeah. Well, guys, do not go anywhere. We're going to talk about Trick Williams, Jordan Grace issue open challenges for both TNA and the WWE roster. Anybody can come. It's crazy. So we're going to dive into some competitors that might challenge one of these people in their own respective titles. So, hey, don't go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. So recently we talked about our AEW Dynamite review. We also talked about my Thursday Night Wrestling preview, which consists of Ring of Honor, National Wrestling Alliance, and Impact Wrestling. And next we're going to dig into Trick Williams and Jordan Grace issue open challenges. But before, I move on, anything to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net. Leave an opinion. Tell me, let me know in the chat what you like about, the show so far. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me what you want to hear. Perhaps as a wrestling, we go, give me a question of the day. Just give me the city that you're listening from or the state or whatever. Tell me your feelings about some of the stuff I'm talking about. Ultimately, this podcast is a hell of a lot better with a lot of fan interaction. So just remember to hit up the gsmcpodcast.net, shoot your chat, put your question up on top so I can see it. And it ultimately helps the show, guys. And don't forget to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. So, let's go ahead and jump right into it. First, we're going to talk about my man, Trick Williams. Obviously, that's not Trick Williams. The way I kind of set it up, it was kind of like, all right, let's watch. We're going to see some Trick Williams action. No, Trick Williams issued an open challenge. He stated, through social media that he doesn't care. It's open to TNA. It's open to TNA. So I gathered a group of TNA guys that would be probably, that would be pretty cool to kind of see fight against Trick Williams. Let's go ahead and start off with Steve Macklin. Steve Macklin right now, he's kind of still like, kind of mid-card status. But imagine if he comes out and fights, Trick Williams at, I don't think he's going to be, at Battleground, he's fighting Ethan Page. But, that just also shows if he survives Ethan Page as well. So what if Ethan Page defeats Trick Williams at NXT Battleground? None of this even matters. So, obviously that'd be terrible. But, so we have Steve Macklin. Steve Macklin could possibly be a suitor to challenge Trick Williams. Would be pretty awesome. The storyline would be a little bit different, but hey. Next, we have Ryan Nemeth, the brother of Nick Nemeth, Dolph Ziggler's brother. Dolph Ziggler's brother, he never made it to WWE, so he never really got a shot for WWE creative just to mess him around and have him lose matches against Goldberg in like 30 seconds. So I'm just kidding. No, but it's possible, but it's kind of a snowball's chance. But you've seen, and obviously Nick Nemeth still has a huge relationship with Triple H. They're still on great terms, and I think Triple H really wants to bring back Nick. He wants to really bring back Nick. He brings back his brother to potentially maybe have a tag team, or maybe Ryan Nemeth, maybe he's the real deal. Maybe there's something special about him that we haven't all been noticing. And we're like, Triple H would be like, no, he's my guy. He's the next guy. Would definitely be good in the NXT development system. I'll tell you that much. All right, next we have the Broken Matt Hardy. The Broken Matt Hardy comes back to WWE to challenge Trick Williams for his NXT World Championship. One of these things, of course, that's kind of that would be a little weird, and obviously you have the storyline with Matt Hardy is kind of like the broken Matt Hardy, so you kind of have this dark, kind of ominous, kind of glow against Trick Williams, who's totally enthusiastic, charismatic. He has the fans on his side, the ultimate babyface. So it'd be kind of highly doubtful to see Matt Hardy come back to just to challenge him, but not to come back in general, but especially with that Forbidden Door open now. Next we have Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry, I think, would be pretty damn awesome to fight Trick Williams. I gotta be honest. I could see him actually be in WWE. I can see him doing his shenanigans on the WWE NXT night in and night out. So it wouldn't surprise me if you see Joe Hendry kind of cross that line. Even Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston, on social media, took to social media to be like, hey, Hendry, we should, we can create a song together or some shit like that. So, they're kind of pretty cool. I honestly would love to see it. Next we have the Frankie Kazarian. Frankie Kazarian, kind of like a loose nail, kind of like a loose gun kind of thing. Reminds me of kind of like a Randy Orton, maybe like an Adam Cole before he became Adam Cole and just joined the Undisputed Era inside the WWE. But there's no doubt in my mind that this guy has the talent to put him and Trick Williams will put on an amazing match. No BS. I think that match would be pretty badass to see. So, but obviously, is it likely? Probably not. But hey, you saw the TNA Knockouts champion, the Women's World Champion, go out on a limb and challenge the WWE NXT Women's World Champion. What difference would it make if you see the TNA World Champion Moose fight the WWE NXT World Heavyweight Champion? I don't know, not Carmelo Hayes, Trick Williams. Damn, that's so crazy. But no, I think that would be a great match. Moose would definitely put Trick Williams to, to his limits. Trick Williams has always in his matches kind of seemed so powerful, so dominant, and I think against Moose, I think they would have a pretty evenly matched, to be honest. I think it'd be a pretty even match. I would honestly would love to say Trick Williams would win, but Moose is just so dominant. He's just so he's been the TNA champion for so damn long, man. For TNA standards, but no, definitely would be interesting to kind of see Moose, kind of go out there and do his thing. Next, we have Nick Nemeth. Dolph Ziggler comes back to the WWE, but he comes back under a different name to challenge Trick Williams for the WWE NXT World Championship. This is likely. This is probably one of the most likely scenarios, like I said before, with his relationship with Triple H inside the WWE. And, Triple H always kind of had better things for Nick. Or Dolph, however you kind of want to address him. But there's also the factor of him being in WWE before. He was kind of, messed around a little bit. Like he didn't really get that much, didn't really get the respect he really honestly deserved. And he's been in WWE NXT for a little bit already in his past. So that's maybe a reason why I'm kind of like steering away from it. And finally, Jeff Hardy's contract in AEW is going to expire. So he's going to be looking for a place to call home once again. But I hope when Jeff Hardy comes back, he comes back as Brother Nero, not Jeff Hardy, because we've seen Jeff Hardy before, man. We've seen him come in and out of the WWE, with allegations and all that. I don't want to get into it. But I don't know. Can he really stay in WWE this time? This is also a question that kind of, is sparked. Obviously, if TNA and WWE become, one, you saw Jeff Hardy have a good, career in TNA, so it wouldn't really surprise me. His brother Matt's over there. So it seems, pretty likely. Imagine, hearing Jeff Hardy's theme or Jeff Hardy debuting on TNA Impact, and then you hear Trick Williams' theme. It'd be pretty crazy. It'd be pretty crazy. So let's go ahead and move on to the women's. The women's first, we have who's going to challenge Jordynne Grace, who's going to answer that open challenge issued by the TNA Knockouts World Champion, Ariana Grace. Possibly could be it. I feel like she definitely does need a storyline kind of heading moving forward. You kind of had her backstage with Jordynne Grace saying like, hey, we have the same last name, but obviously we're not part of the same family, and it was just so it was so adorable, but kind of like naive at the same time. So I was like, dude, honestly, Jordynne Grace would the match with her would probably last like maybe 10 seconds. So I don't think Ariana Grace would really hold a snowball's chance against Jordynne Grace. Next, we have Blair Davenport. Blair Davenport has recently been drafted to WWE SmackDown. You've seen a couple of promos. You haven't really seen her in action just yet. But it'd be kind of interesting to kind of see her go from WWE NXT to answer Jordynne Grace's, open challenge for Against All Odds. But it'd be pretty interesting to kind of see Blair Davenport kind of spread her wings in that. And something big. It'd be absolutely big if you see Charlotte Flair come out, accept Jordynne Grace's challenge on TNA Impact soil. That would be absolutely monumental for professional wrestling, for the WWE, for TNA, and for Charlotte Flair as well. That'd be so cool. Obviously, Charlotte Flair, in the eyes of a WWE fan, has been absolutely powerful, absolutely dominant. There's no one in the ring that could, match up to her intensity. So obviously kind of seen, and you saw Ric Flair has had ties with TNA in the past. So I know that'd be crazy. Next we have Lyra Valkyria. Lyra Valkyria definitely is one of the rookies of the year in terms of WWE. It'd be kind of cool, it'd be kind of crazy to see her challenge Jordynne Grace, but she has so much animosity, she has so much spunk, and she's just so determined. Mi Chen could possibly be someone to challenge Jordynne Grace because she was once in TNA. You saw Jordynne Grace and her backstage on WWE NXT. They're like, oh, TNA for life. Like, like girlfriends. Like, cool. So it'd be kind of interesting to kind of see Mitchin go back that, because I don't really think that she's going to win the WWE Women's North American Championship. So I don't know. I don't really see that really happening. Natalya, I was kind of advocating for this for the longest time, but Natalya still continues to kind of be fluctuating. I think she would build more momentum if she has a match with Jordynne Grace. But it's still open. It's still open. Jordynne Grace. You have Natalya, who's the Hart Foundation, the Owen Hart Cup in the AEW. their names worldwide. So it'd be pretty, kind of crazy to see. Next, we had Tatum Paxley. Tatum Paxley was seen admiring Jordan Grace's, coveted TNA Knockouts World Champion. She was like looking at the gold. She's like, oh, I'm looking at it. I want it. Like, you know what I mean? Imagine if she answers the challenge. It seems pretty likely that she will. But in my opinion, I feel like WWE is like, yeah, we want one of the TNA women stars to come out here and make a shocking impact. And they're like, yeah, sure, but we want the same thing from you. We want a WWE woman superstar that's going to make a big splash. We're like, okay, yeah, here's Tatum Paxley. Like, so that would be kind of, a little unfair in my opinion. Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton has recently been signed to Paradigm Agency, which is like kind of, they're prominent in entertainment conglomerates and stuff like that. But it wouldn't surprise me if you see her come out like it's Tiffany time. Like, I think it would make sense based on her attitude, based on like the way she just sticks her nose into businesses that doesn't concern her. Be like, you were never on TNA Impact. You don't even know what Impact Wrestling is. And she comes out, she's like, but it's Tiffany time. Like, that would be pretty badass. And finally, we find out Becky Lynch signs a max contract with the WWE. She comes back to challenge Jordan Grace. Oh, that'd be so crazy. Imagine Jordan Grace standing in the ring, and all of a sudden you hear, oh, whoa. I think that'd be pretty cool. That's just, that's just my opinion. Tell me what you feel. Tell me how you feel about, tell me who you think is going to challenge Trick Williams or Jordan Grace. We are rapidly running out of time. So moving forward, I want to touch on my Eric's Tag Team World Cup. We have 16. We have 8 matches tonight. Let's kind of narrow it down to the Elite 8. So, hey, do not go anywhere.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Just kind of reflect on what we talked about real quick. We talked about our AEW Dynamite preview. We also talked about my Thursday Night Wrestling preview. No, we talked about AEW Dynamite review, Thursday Night Wrestling preview. Then we got into Trick Williams and Jordan Grace's future, competitors from either TNA or WWE. But without further ado, we're going to talk about Eric's Tag Team World Cup. Rapidly running out of time. We have about 4 minutes, and I still have a couple things to get to, which is, kind of sucks, but, I kind of had a technical difficulty. So let's go ahead and move on. Let's talk about this stuff. Yeah. Let's go ahead and dig on into this. First, we have the Midnight Rockers with Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty. We have the Rockers against, who are the Rockers going to fight? Who are they going to fight? In this matchup, they're going to fight, the Rock and Roll Express. The Rock and Roll Express, man, they were just so damn impressive. The Rockers, the Rock and Roll Express, that's kind of funny how that, kind of worked out. Just based on experience-wise, I think the Rock and Roll Express is like a shoo-in, but you also can't deny Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels' chemistry. Obviously, this was before Shawn was Shawn, so, oh man, this is kind of hard. So, honestly, I think the winner is probably going to be, I'm going to choose the Rock and Roll Express. I think the Rock and Roll Express, they have, they're the best, one of the best tag teams in the history of professional wrestling. So we have the Rockers taken out by the Rock and Roll Express. Absolutely badass. Absolutely, it's cool as hell. Our next match, we have the Hardy Boys. We just got done talking about the Hardy Boys. Who will the Hardy Boys fight? The Hardys are against bum 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 bum. Ooh, the Hart Foundation. Ooh, this is kind of hard. You have family versus family. Dang, but then you have Jim the Nightmare Hart was absolutely a beast. He was absolutely dominant. Bret the Hitman Hart was the best wrestler probably in the whole entire world before he was injured. So, oh man, to be honest, I'm going to go ahead and pick the Hart Foundation. The Hart Foundation is going to move on. They're going to defeat the Hardy Boys, although I feel like the Hardy Boys do deserve a little due diligence because of how they just, kind of reshaped the tag team division, especially, during a time where the tag team was kind of like, it was kind of crazy. You didn't really know who the hell was going to kind of show up. But yeah, we have our next one, and I don't know why it's doing that. We have our next match. We have Hawk and Animal of the Road Warriors. So we have the Road Warriors, and obviously you kind of saw who they're going to fight against. And to be honest, this is probably one of the hardest decisions I'm ever going to have to make because they are going one-on-one with the New Day. The New Day, the reason why I love the New Day so much is their ability to be amazing in tag team, amazing to be their potential to be amazing single superstars. But man, Road Warriors, when they were together, they dominated the 80s. There was, oh man, shoot. That's crazy. But the New Day, they have like a title reign that's absolutely, oh man, it's kind of hard. Damn it. Damn it. No, that's so hard. Oh man. So we have the Road Warriors, Hawk and Animal, against Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston, and Big E inside of a tag team match. Obviously, you have either Big E with teaming with Xavier or vice versa. Man, I would say just basically, I'm gonna give it to the New Day. I know I'm probably gonna get a lot of scrutiny, and probably a lot of you guys might hate me right now, but I'm gonna move the New Day up past the Road Warriors, Hawk and Animals, just because they're just so good. They're just so good. I feel like the WWE tag team division is prominent mostly because of the New Day. All right, so next we have Edge and Christian. Edge and Christian, the Canadian tag team that's been together for like ever, the Brood. Obviously they're both chilling in AEW right now, putting on good matches. They had a good, I Quit match, on Dynamite about a month and a half ago. So who they're going to fight? Them are going to go against. Ooh, wow. Against Matthew and Nicholas Jackson of the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks are really, really good in a sense that they've kind of been all over the world. They're an international team. They're an international talent. But recently, so has Adam Copeland's been fighting in TNA for a little bit. Obviously, Edge and Christian, but it feels like they've been so consistent. The Young Bucks have. The Young Bucks, they've been in WWE for so long. They've won title after title. So I'm going to say, who moves on from Edge and Christian against the Young Bucks? I think the Young Bucks are going to move on to round 2. All right, so going on to our bracket number 2, we have the Brothers of Destruction. The Brothers of Destruction. Who will Kane and The Undertaker fight? Who knows? Because it'll be pretty darn, obviously they didn't really have titles and anything like that, but they're just so damn, entertaining. We have Bobby Eaton and we also have Arn Anderson. These guys, ruled NWA tag team for the longest time. Anderson, and we also have Eaton. Oh man, this is kind of tough because The Undertaker was just so great, during his streak and all that. But strictly, talking about tag teams, I'm going to pick Anderson, and we'll be moving on to the Elite Eight. So, absolutely badass with that. All right, in our next match, we have the Mega Powers. We have the Mega Powers consisting of the Macho Man Randy Savage and, Hulk Hogan. And let's see who they're going. Obviously towering over the 80s. We remember these guys to a certain extent against the Crazy Samoans. The Crazy Samoans. I love Macho Man Randy Savage and I love Hulk Hogan. They are huge icons in terms of professional wrestling, but in terms of tag team, there's nothing that, in the tag team division that the Angry Samoans, that the Crazy Samoans did not do. So moving on to round 2, we're going to see the Crazy Samoans defeat the Mega Powers in Macho Man Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan. Next, we have the Dudley Boys. The Dudley Boys, Devon and Bubba Ray Dudley, the Get the Tables, are going against, the Usos. Man, once again, you're kind of stuck with that, I feel like the way I kind of structure this tag team World Cup, you kind of have good tag teams like that were prominent in the past, and then you have tag teams that were prominent during the 2000s, and now you kind of have with the Usos and the New Day that kind of are keeping the tag team division on the map. That's the reason why I give them so much damn credit. I think they are 7-time tag team champions, and I believe the Dudley Boys are 7-time too. Don't quote me on that. So they are tied. They are tied. The Dudley Boys definitely with the Hardy Boys and Edge and Christian. Oh man, against the Usos, man. They're the longest reigning tag team. The longest. Jimmy and Jey Uso. This is hard. This is so hard. But I guess if I had to choose, I'm going to pick the Usos. I think the Usos are going to move on. I'm sorry. I was a huge Dudley Boys fan, and the moment I made this, I was like, dude, the Dudley Boys are probably going to make it to like the final four. So next we have the Steiner Brothers. The Steiner Brothers were your first kind of take at MMA meets WWE. Kind of reminds me of like an American Alpha, what they kind of did with that. Kind of like the Creed brothers you see now in WWE. Obviously, it's not the same thing. We have Rick and Scott Steiner. They were absolutely dominant during their tenure as well. They won championships. They were dominant. They had long reigns. Against, okay, this is a little easy. Against the APA. Love the APA. They weren't really that, the Acolytes. Like, I'm not too sure if they did win a WWE World Tag Team titles. I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on that. But I think out of both these guys, it's kind of easy. I'm going to have the Steiner brothers move on. So I have my Elite 8. So 16 teams are done. We are heading toward oh, that's true too. My man Ralph Rodriguez has hit up the chat about the Dudley Boys and ECW and TNA. And it's true. It is true. But the Usos, man, they're like I said before, I feel like the tag team division right now in WWE wouldn't really exist because it's been a while. It's been a while since you've kind of had tag teams fluctuate within the company for the longest time. They're trying to get people to come up from NXT to make the tag team division prominent. Seems like nothing's really working. So, obviously we always have the Usos or we always have the New Day. So, you have AOP in right now, DIY. You have the little, Awesome Truth thing, which is, it's cool and all. But I don't know. It's kind of hard to knock off the longest reigning tag team, reign in history. So, guys, do not go anywhere. We're going to finish this off. I only have probably like 5 minutes left. So let's kind of just dig in deep to the details. We're going to talk about my Thursday Superstar Spotlight. Today, we're going to talk about Maxwell Jacob Friedman, the best wrestler in the world. I'm better than you, and you know. All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Eric Rodriguez. Just kind of reflect on what we talked about real quick. We talked about on today's episode. You can always check out these videos on our YouTube, our podcasting network, also our sports network as well. We talked about our AEW Dynamite review, my Thursday Night Wrestling preview. We dive into the world of Ring of Honor, Impact Wrestling, and the National Wrestling Alliance. Segment 3, we talked about Trick Williams and Jordan Grace issuing open challenges toward their respective titles and divisions and stuff like that. Segment 4, we talked about Eric's World Tag Team Cup. We narrowed down the Sweet 16 to the Elite 8. We're going to jump on into it real quick. I know I feel like I kind of, I'm not trying to dog this guy whatsoever, but I do love Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF of AEW. So let's go ahead and try to, before I get the hook here, I know a lot of you guys are waiting for that soccer podcast hosted by my man Emran. So yeah, let's go and jump on into it. So guys, Jacob Friedman was born March 15th, 1996. It's kind of crazy to think that he's only 28 years old, and I'm like 32, and I'm like, oh shit, like that's crazy. Like this guy's younger than I am. This guy's totally jacked and like, it's kind of crazy. He was from MLW, Major League Wrestling. He was the inaugural Major League Wrestling World Middleweight Champion. He also was featured in Combat Zone Wrestling, the CZW. He's from New York City, Plainville, New York City. He played football in high school. He also went to Hartwick College in Oneota, New York, which is kind of crazy. In 2015, he was actually featured in like a WWE Tough Enough segment on YouTube. He was also, on, I think it was a WWE Extreme Rules where, Samoa Joe had bodyguards. You saw, MJF as well. And then he kind of dabbled a little around the independent wrestling circuit, but he ultimately found his home within AEW. He's feuded with big names like Hangman Adam Page. He's feuded with Cody Rhodes. Obviously, you see him out still today feuding with Swerve Strickland. Will Ospreay, and he wants to feud with Okada. Something about MJF that the moment when he came back to the AEW Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision, is I was like, there's just something different about this guy. Just his aurora, just his confidence level. You just kind of want to watch him. You kind of want to see what he says. See what he says next. He cuts the best promos. Also, it's kind of up there along with Chris Jericho of how to be an antagonizer of the crowd, the locker room, or higher ups like Tony Khan and stuff like that. So I don't know, it's kind of crazy to kind of see MJF kind of come from, all this other, kind of stuff. Also, he has done a couple of, he's been on a couple of TV shows in cinema. I think he was on the Iron Claw in a part, but I think they cut it out. But he was one of the executive producers. Also, what my man Ralph was talking about, we also have him on the Rosie O'Donnell show where he was a kid. Like that's it's just crazy. It's just absolutely crazy how the wrestling world just dabbles into just a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff within the world of wrestling. But something that you got to respect about MJF is that he's been a loyal guy toward AEW. There was a time where he wasn't with AEW. His contract was up. He came back on Double or Nothing. He was like, guess what? I'm back and I'm not going anywhere. I don't need a Vince McMahon. Like he just knows how to just push the buttons of everyone. AEW fans, even WWE fans. It's crazy. He's definitely his own breed. He's definitely has amazing star potential. Once when you kind of saw superstars like Cody Rhodes leave AEW, you saw CM Punk leave as well. You had injuries, obviously, within their organization. A lot of people are expecting MJF to leave as well. But MJF, he stayed with AEW. He says he's all in with the AEW wrestling circuit. So I, got to cut a hit from that. Absolutely 110%. And like I said, I'm not trying to jip him short of time, but it is 9/11. And I got to get ready for Emran's soccer podcast. So we went a little bit of overtime here. Hope you guys liked my show. As always, 1,010%. Absolutely love seeing you guys. It is a beautiful Thursday. Hope you guys had an amazing Thursday. Hope you guys gear up for an amazing Friday. If you guys are off the weekend, cool. If not, just know that, just try to do whatever you can to just get some time for yourself, man. Do a little bit of, some self-care. I think they call it self-care. But yeah, thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show and leave a positive review here at the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast and the GSMC Sports Network. We do love peace, love, and positivity. Remember, we also invite you guys to follow us on Facebook, Twitter /X, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. Like I always say, if I haven't made you a wrestling fan by now, we had the NBA playoffs kicked off today between the Dallas Mavericks and the Boston Celtics. If you want all the know-how, if you want all the statistics and the analysis, make sure you check out Nelson's basketball podcast on the GSMC basketball podcast, obviously. Tomorrow I will be on Chris's show. He hosts the GSMC Fantasy Sports, so I'm definitely looking forward to being there. It's kind of a little early in the morning for me, but hey, I'm down. Make sure you check out me and my boy Nelson. Feeling it. We also have the Chip Shot Football podcast Podcast with Manny, Kenneth on football. We have TJ and Jeremy on sports. We have Samantha on, women's sports, hoops and heels. We have my man Andrew Tate. We have just sports. I was on the baseball podcast as well with my man Sam. Absolutely killed it. Absolutely love talking baseball all the time. I gotta be honest. I kind of wish I was on there, more often than not. So, guys, once again, I really do hope you enjoyed my show. Join me tomorrow, Friday, for basically the final GSMC episode of the week. Don't be too sad because I'm gonna, enjoy my Saturday and Sunday. Hope you guys do too as well. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. We still have tomorrow. So I will see you guys tomorrow at 8 p.m. Love y'all, and I hope you have an amazing night.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to work.